You're listening to the Travis Makes Money podcast. What's going on, money makers? Welcome back to the Travis Makes Money podcast, where it's our mission to help you make some more money. Today on the show, we're talking a little bit about real estate with my new friend, Jamie Flanagan. Jamie is a top producer in the real estate realm, generating an average of $500K in commissions annually, in addition to their $14 million real estate portfolio that generates $1 million in rental revenue every single year. Jamie enjoys helping others scale through her virtual assistant partnerships and is a believer in high service, high efficiency models in business. I'm sure Jamie and I are going to get into some really, really great stuff here in just 1 second. But before we jump in, if you're tuning in and you're wondering how I go about building relationships with the amazing people on this show or on my other show, Travis Makes Friends, it's actually been through the podcast. The podcast is kind of the secret sauce. So if you are curious about having a good podcast that could potentially explode your network, build your personal brand, sharpen your expertise, and maybe even pay you sponsorship dollars to do all of those things, I'm taking a couple one-on-one coaching clients right now for podcasting specifically. So if you're already running a 7, 8, or 9-figure business, you've had some success there, and you want to turn your attention toward some of this branding space, and you wanted to kind of help you grow your network as well, travischappell.com/coaching. There's a quick application right there. I'll jump on a call, see if we might be a good fit to work together to get your show out into the world or to improve your existing show if you already got one. So travischappell.com/coaching. Jamie, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you. Yes, thank you.
Great to meet you as well. So I have a soft spot in my heart for the real estate space because my dad's been a realtor since I was like 3, something like that.
Oh my gosh.
3 or 4. So I grew up going to open houses, grew up, in the caravans where we'd go look at everybody's listings from, that previous week that were in the office and stuff like that. But I'm curious to hear why you got into real estate to begin with.
Well, the initial thing is why I think most people get into real estate is income and the time freedom. The income is definitely there. The time freedom, I don't know if I would agree with that, as you just mentioned. But it's been like I got into real estate back in 2009, right after the market crashed. So navigated that, used to call Craigslist leads and investors, worked with a couple investors as a brand new agent, got out of the real estate world for a couple years, opened my own salon, and then got sucked back into the real estate world a couple years later, sold my salon, and I worked in the new construction realm. And it was kind of interesting. Like I had bought, we had a little 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, and my husband and I were basically upgrading. And so we were like, do we sell it? Do we rent it? We ended up renting it out. It was a phenomenal rental. We still own that one today. And had a 15-year FHA mortgage on it. So the mortgage was paid down pretty quickly. Like after a couple of years, we were like, geez, we got a lot of equity. And kind of just snowballed from there. I worked in new construction. So when my clients would need to sell their house and they didn't necessarily want to do all the work, or they wanted to move out of it first, we just use that as an opportunity to purchase. And my husband's in the lender side, so he's able to get the financing for us. And so we started buying some of our clients' houses when the opportunity made sense for both us and the client. And then my grandpa passed away, and family drama can be fun. And so they were fighting over the estate, and we want to sell it. What would you charge us for commission? It was like a whole mess. And then one brother would be like, nope, we're not selling it. The other brother would be like, no, we need to get rid of it. And so finally I offered to buy the house out of the estate. And that was like another couple of weeks. And then we ended up getting that house out of the estate. And so that was like, we started just kind of slowly building our rental portfolio.
Yeah.
Probably, I'd say the hardest was when we owned, like I always tell people, like 5 to 8 rental properties was the most difficult, because you don't have enough cash flow yet to necessarily hire full-time help. You don't have like the amount of work to keep the contractors busy to put you as a priority. So like that was a difficult time. But once we got to like 20 doors, it was totally a game changer.
Yeah, you're not being able to take advantage of the economy of scale when you only have a few doors at that point. But you guys kept just putting them into. So when you're talking about this, the income that you currently make on the rental portfolio, are these all single family?
We own 3 apartment buildings, and the rest are single family, and then a commercial building.
Okay. What's been the difference between those for you? Why get into apartments if the single family is going well?
Less roofs to replace. We're in Nebraska, so we have hail and we have lots of elements. So I will say single family is way easier to manage. If I had it my way and money wasn't an issue, I would only buy single family.
Okay.
But the
I
maintenance.
love the take. This is why I wanted to get this from you because I I've been, doing this podcast thing for so long. I talked to so many investors across real estate and crypto and stocks and everything else, and everything in
Yeah.
between. And single family is one of those things like recently it's been getting trashed by so many people. Just like, why would you ever buy a single door when you could buy 48 doors or whatever? And it's like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like single families done pretty well for quite a lot of people in the past.
Oh,
And when
yeah.
you see companies and institutions like BlackRock that are coming in and dropping billions of dollars into acquiring basically a third of available inventory in the US, it's like that might be a hint as to where, like, when institutional money is putting that much money behind something, it's like it can't be just a terrible investment idea. It
No,
just means that
right.
you just got to get better at the game, right?
Totally. Yeah. And it, like we had our handyman over at our apartments, and it's like if there's a plumbing issue for one, there's a plumbing issue for multiple.
Yeah, right.
So it's like that, and multifamily is different, whereas like a single family, it's one tenant that's the only person affected if there's an issue with the house.
Well, I think people kind of make this there's this misunderstanding that owning an apartment building is kind of like owning, 30 single family properties. And it really, like, it almost moves more into like hotel management. Like you have to, like, a multifamily property to me seems more like operating a business than it
Yeah,
is managing an investment.
you're right. Managing apartments is like it is almost like more of a business versus a like single family. Your tenant, it's if you have one bad tenant, it can snowball into several bad tenants because if one bad tenant, then the next tenant is like all of a sudden behind in rent, then this person. So I will say like I don't know if you like the vibration, like you can have a vibration to something where it's
Yeah,
like if
yeah.
you're in a good mood, you affect everyone and everyone's in a good mood. And then if you are in a bad mood, everyone's in a bad mood, or you can snowball it. That is how I feel about apartments. Like if you can get a good group of people in there, it's great.
Yeah.
If one person gets a dog that wasn't supposed to have a dog, and then that dog starts leaving messes outside, and then all of a sudden the other tenant's mad, and now you become a babysitter, and it's like a constant, just, yeah, I only have one roof to take care of, but the amount of work that it takes and the communication and all the issues and making sure that everyone's happy is totally way more work.
Yeah.
And I mean, our single family homes, honestly, like for the most part, we do a really good job of onboarding tenants, and we just let them know, like, you're upgrading from apartment living. You're expected to, change your own light bulbs now. And we expect you to change the batteries and the smoke detector. But we have those conversations of like, this is like a graduation. Like you're not in an apartment anymore. So there's things that we expect you to take care of. Now, of course, we're still their landlord and we still take care of things that we need to take care of,
Yeah.
but we have way less issues because of the conversations that we set up front.
Yeah.
And because we have a screening process that everyone goes through. So we're making sure that everyone is qualified and can pay the rent. So we just don't have a lot of problems in our single family homes. But like I said, it's like one in the apartment, it's like one can turn into five, can turn into
Are,
10.
are you exclusively buying in your local market?
We have owned in Arizona, Colorado, and Nebraska.
Okay.
I'm a big advocate of being able to get there in less than one plane trip. So, like, we're in Nebraska, so a lot of people I know buy in Florida, but that would, like, if there was a problem and I don't have great contacts, I can't get to Florida to check on that property super easily.
Hmm.
Colorado, it's an hour flight. So it's like, if there
Yeah.
was a problem, I can get on a flight tomorrow and I can be there by the middle of the day.
Okay. And then how are you buying these properties, Jamie? Is this purely just a cash flow thing? Like whenever you have excess cash in the account, you go look for properties, or are you negotiating like no money down, low money down? Like, talk to me about your kind of your debt principles.
We're big. We do a lot of cross leveraging. So we bought a lot of properties when the market hadn't gone up yet. So we have a lot of equity. And so now when I see an opportunity, we have enough equity that we can just call the bank and we use the available equity in that property and they'll put a lien on our portfolio and then allow us to buy the extra. So most of our stuff now is bought without cash, but when we were first buying, we were buying it, I would apply my commission and then I would negotiate a seller credit. So, if I would call a for sale by owner, for example, I would negotiate, let's say, a 6% commission applied to closing, and then let's say a $10,000 repair budget also as a seller concession. So if the house was $100,000, we were coming out of pocket maybe $4,000. And then my goal was to have the house move in ready within like a week. So I'd also be advertising and I'd also get permission from the seller to go ahead and list the house on Zillow for rent.
Yeah.
So I'd have like the day of closing. A lot of times I would already have a tenant lined up and their first month's rent would cover if there was like a little extra that I needed. So it's like, therefore, if I'm $2,000 short and I would get a $2,000, rent, first month's rent and deposit, we can't use the deposit. You have to keep that in available as escrow. But
how much time are you spending on a, let's say, monthly basis allocating toward investment portfolio? Anything and everything comes along with that: property management, securing new properties, coming up with financing, things like that, versus your like selling and like representing sellers and buyers in the real estate market?
That's an interesting question because I look at our portfolio and it's obviously like the amount of appreciation we get and the cash flow and all that is really good. And we spend like maybe an hour and a half every week on it. I have a meeting. We have a property manager that's on staff. So she works just for us.
Yeah.
And so she pays all the bills, manages the tenants, schedules work orders, everything like that. And then on Fridays, I actually don't even spend that much time because we haven't even met in like several weeks, but on Fridays, like 30 minutes to go in and approve any major bills. Like if a furnace goes out and she needs approval on a $5,000 bill, but anything under $1,000 she can approve. So there's nothing there. Our HOA dues like that we do pay for, some of them are on auto pay. So we have furnished rentals. So we've got like 6 furnished units and we've one apartment building dedicated to all furnished. So that's like utilities. Those are all on auto pay. So biggest thing is just creating efficiencies, and we've really gotten efficient with our portfolio.
Great. So the majority of your time then is spent working on the income side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is the whole purpose of the show. And people don't understand, to get to $500,000 in commission selling real estate is no small task, especially in a market like Nebraska.
Right.
How many houses are you moving on an annual basis to reach that type of commission?
We're like 75 to 100, give or take. I left Omaha for a couple years, so I sold like 50 houses those years, but now we'll sell probably on track to sell 100 this year. And our average sell price is like 275.
Is it just you, or you have a team of like buyers and different agents and things?
It's just, I have me, an operations manager, a virtual assistant, a couple of virtual assistants.
Okay. So that's it. Mm-hmm. Good for you.
Yeah. So I'll have some help showing houses once in a while. Like we've got a good team with my like brokerage. So today I had somebody from my team, from my brokerage, show a property for me, and we just pay each other $50 to $100 a showing. And
is your husband full-time involved in real estate now as well? Or is he?
He's a mortgage lender. Yep.
Oh, he's a lender. Okay. Got it. So you guys kind of can pull on both ends of the transaction a little bit.
Totally. Yeah. I would say that's why I'm successful, because he gets people who are like, if they're borderline, if they could be qualified, he will get them over, so it's like that helps a lot.
He's actually a good lender.
He's a very good lender. Yeah.
He's not just like crossing his fingers for W-2 income and hoping they can make it work. Yeah.
No.
So you guys now are working together to build this massive real estate portfolio. I'm curious, what was the reason for the departure into the salon for a little bit?
I started working at a model home on the weekends. So I had my salon and I was managing it. I had like 26, I think there was like 20 to 26 women that I managed. And there was a lot of drama, and the ROI just wasn't super. I mean, did I make an income? Yes, but was it real estate income? No. Yeah. And so I started working at a model home with my friend Christina in new construction, and I started selling like 2 houses a month with her. And I was like, well, I like loved it. And obviously the ROI on your time is way, way better. So that's when I actually got like 6 months into doing both. I got an offer on my salon, and it was just, to me, it was a sign, and it's time to move on.
What's your take on getting into the real estate market currently? There's a lot of external factors now that have that didn't exist a decade ago, including housing prices are up, interest rates are up, and things like that, macroeconomic trends. But there's also little things in the real estate industry, right? Like software that's taking away from commission structures, or even laws that have come into play where buyers agents have to negotiate their own commission with the buyer and things like that, right? Is that those things affecting you? And what would be your advice to somebody listening who's like, I've been thinking about getting into real estate, but I've been told it's not a great time.
I think whatever you tell yourself is what the reality is. So when the buyer agent thing happened, like I just told myself this is going to be good. And for us, we're a heavy listing team. And part of how we've bought houses is like when I go on a listing appointment, I'll give them a cash offer. Like we could buy your house for this, or we could do the updates and we could put it on the market for this. A lot
Mm.
of times people just want the cash offer. And so that's kind of, I get a lot of referrals because of that. Now, I also get a ton of, since that happened, we have been getting sign calls from people. I had one literally yesterday, and they tell me, hey, we don't have an agent. We don't want to work with an agent. Can you show us your listing? And so I've had several closings specifically where I've been on both ends of it because of the lawsuit.
Mm.
So I just think whatever you tell yourself is the reality, and what you focus on expands. So if you're going to tell yourself it's a bad market, it is going to be a bad market. But I was joking with my husband a couple of weeks ago, even I was like, well, all my listings are selling, but I'm also doing a lot of mindset work. And I'm like, then I hear other people who are like, this market is terrible. Houses are sitting and I haven't had any, like nobody's showing my listings. And I'm like, I wonder, it's just interesting because it's like, is it the actual market, or is it because your mindset is poor and you think your house isn't going to sell, so it doesn't? So
Yeah, well,
there's,
unfortunately, I think in real estate specifically, but also basically in any industry where there's a really low barrier to entry with really high earning potential, there's a lot
yeah,
of people that come in thinking that the work is going to do itself. That like
right.
once they get the listing, that's it, that's done, and
Yeah,
there's no
no.
additional work that needs to be put in. So when the house doesn't just like move like they think it's supposed to, it's
Yep.
all of a sudden, well, it's a bad market and there's all these other external factors that other people are relying on. Whereas people like you that are really good at what you do, that you're looking there. There's constantly levers that you can pull that
Yeah.
allow you to move a property faster, or to get more business, or to do this other deal that's off market, or to do a deal where this person isn't necessarily getting a buyer's agent, but you're able to kind of,
Hmm.
work with them directly on the listing and things like that. Where do you see this going in the next few years?
It'll be, I think it's very like with luxury, for example, luxury buyers have more questions. They want, if they're remodeling a house, you want an agent who has competent contractors who are going to show up and not take advantage of you. So I just think the more that you can show your value as an agent,
Mm.
not necessarily like, and people say like value add, oh, I show houses and I run comps. That's like, that to me isn't like a value add. That's like
That's barrier to
that's
entry.
just barrier. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
your
yeah,
minimum. But like actually having a vendor list of support and people who show up, and then doing interviews with them on Facebook so people can get to know your contractors and their work, and taking pictures of their work. Like I have two appointments tomorrow that I have both my contractors coming with me so that we can simplify it so the seller doesn't have to open their house over and over again. Like
mm,
it's, hey, let me just bring my carpet and paint guy with me. Let's get bids while we're there. Let's see what it would be as a cash offer. Let's see what it would be on the market.
yeah.
And the sellers, they're not in a position anymore where it's like they're interviewing multiple people. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know this was an option.
Mm.
Like it's a relief. And that the more that you can add that value, and there are tons of agents getting out of the business, but there's also a massive opportunity because of that. So if there's less agents, there's also less competition. And so really showing up. And I think like I think the industry will go to more of a standardized professionalism. Like when you hire an attorney, yeah, there's crappy attorneys, but for the most part, like there's a level of competence. Whereas, like you said, real estate, you have two classes and you have a real estate license. There isn't necessarily a level of competence just because you have a license.
Right.
So I'm hoping that over the next couple of years, we will start to see like everybody in the business has a higher level, a higher competency level.
Yeah, sort of a consolidation of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Talk to me about your personal finances. Is there a certain cadence or flow or structure that you have? Like when you have income coming in, whether it's from you selling a property or your husband doing financing on a property, is there a certain percentage that goes like, okay, we want to make sure we have X number in our emergency savings for, new breaks or whatever, unexpected medical bills, and we have a certain percentage that goes into, we have this IRA that we just kind of invest into the markets every once in a while, or we buy, short term, whatever, bonds or treasury notes or something? Or is it basically just like, hey, every additional dollar we make is going into another house?
For honestly, for the last, since we started buying real estate, it's all gone back into the portfolio. We're actually restructuring right now because we've been a very, like, if you have cash, it's risky, right? Because if you get sued, whatever, and you have a bunch of cash, that's up, that can be up for grabs.
Yeah.
So we're in the process of like restructuring, getting everything like completely changed over legally and putting some pieces in place, but everything has gone to real estate. But I'm on a salary. So with my company, Big Picture Real Estate Group, I'm set. So I have a salary. And then if there's extra, that usually will go toward like whatever. I'm kind of the fun money. Brad does the responsible money. So if I have money, we're going traveling. If Brad has extra money, it's paying an extra mortgage payment or something.
Yeah.
So we do have separate, like when we bought real estate, I think this is something that's allowed us to get more money. Like one house will be in my name, one house will be in his name. So that our debt to income ratios, we can take advantage of both people. I know a lot of people who are married are like, well, I want to be on it, or feel like they have to be. And I just encourage them to talk to their, to talk to their lender openly, their attorney. Because if you're in a marital state, like what he owns, I own.
Exactly.
If I'm on the debt, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And so it's just making sure that you structure it so that you can capitalize and maximize what your ability is.
Yeah. Maximize the kind of borrowing and earning potential.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a principle of leverage for you guys? Like, are you like, we want to put the minimum amount down every time we buy a new property? Or are you kind of trying to go for more, what's the favorable cap rate and how much do we need to put down in order to be able to completely comfortably cover the payment with rental income, even if we have vacancy issues, things like that?
We're not big on, so when we started buying rentals, we did it for the tax benefits. So we actually didn't necessarily want cash flow because there was no benefit. We had a high cash flow business that we were trying to reduce our tax liability. Like we'll get a massive tax return this year. We do every year because Brad's W-2 and I pay myself a salary. So our goal was to reduce taxes, which is our cash flow.
Got it.
So, and then our other thing is buying properties that I'm in real estate. So I always want to be able to, if we buy something, I want it to appreciate. Lots of people will buy like Section 8 housing, but I've noticed like they'll buy a house for $40,000, but then after they own it for 5 years, it's not worth anymore and they have to do more work to it. So for me, that's not the purpose of buying real estate. I buy real estate because I want the appreciation. I want the value of the asset to go up. I want the depreciation, my tax liability to go down. Yeah. And if cash flow happens, great. For us, that just wasn't a big necessity.
Great. Awesome. This has been really great, Jamie. Thank you for taking the time to come on.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thank you.
What is your spending vice? What do you really enjoy spending money on that maybe isn't like, like if you're going to give advice to somebody, you'd be like, yeah, maybe don't do this one thing, but I'm going to keep doing it because I like it.
Oh, like I have so many travel memberships. And I don't care. People are like, they don't appreciate it. I'm like, I don't care. I show up. They all take care of me. I don't have to think about maintaining the property.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. Well, let's move into the last segment here. Just it's called the random round. Just quick random questions, quick random answers. Okay. You ready?
Got it. Yes.
What profession other than your own do you think that it would be fun to master?
Oh gosh. Probably art of some sort.
If you could sit on a park bench with someone, past or present, and chat for an hour, who would it be?
Napoleon Hill.
What's an investment class you would really like to put money into but haven't dabbled in yet?
Boutique hotels.
Ooh, that's a good one. How do you like to consume information best? Books, audiobooks, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos?
All of it. Books is probably the main.
What's a good money making book you'd recommend?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Think and Grow Rich though is my go-to.
Classic. Can't go wrong with that one.
No,
Can't go
you
wrong with that one.
can't.
Flex and fail, Jamie. Tell me something that you've made a purchase on that you're happy that you made, something that you purchased that you regret purchasing.
Mm, well, my salon was a massive, like it was, I owned it for 3, 4 years, but we got hit by lightning and it fried my like laser hair removal machines, super expensive,
Dang.
sucked. And then I also was in the process of moving into a commercial building. And so lost the deposit on that. Massive fail. Like it
Yeah.
was like all 4 years of my 3 or 4 years I owned it was the income was completely gone. So it was a
Yeah.
zero. But when we Gosh, we've got a few good wins. We bought an office building when everybody said shouldn't buy office space, and we made a really good profit on it when we sold it. So it's just if you have to buy right, know what you're buying.
Buy right, know what you're buying. Yeah, I love that. What is your go-to pump up song, Jamie?
I can't say it on here.
You can't say it on here. It's not family appropriate.
Move, B, get out the way.
What is something you are not very good at?
Oh gosh, organizing.
And as we get everything wrapped up here, Jamie, where can people go to get more from you?
BradandJamieFlanagan.com is our website. It's being revamped right now. Hopefully by the time you post this, it's actually live. And then I'm great. Facebook is where most people come to find me.
BradandJamieFlanagan.com. That's Flanagan. And then Jamie is Jamie. So BradandJamieFlanagan.com. Go check out some of the stuff they're putting out there. Jamie, thanks so much for doing this. Everybody else, remember, money will solve your money problems. And then you're just left with the problems that money can't solve. But it's so easy to solve those problems with some money in the bank. So let's solve that problem first here on the Travis Makes Money podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you next episode. Peace out.